Colonel Jessup, did you order the code red? You want answers? I think I'm entitled to them. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle Cosmere Chronicles! The podcast we follow two first-time readers, Sheta and Justin, who chronicle their journey through Brand Sanderson's Cosmere series. On today's episode, we'll be chronicling Mistborn, The Hero of Ages, chapters 45 through 51. So now, let's throw it over to the host of Cosmere Chronicles. This is Joe! Thank you, Joe. Yep, everyone, Cosmere Chronicles. That's the show that you're listening to right now. Or, I don't know, maybe you just went into the transcript of the episode that some of those podcast places and you're just reading it. Or if you're doing that, okay. I'm Joe, and once again, I'm joined by Justin and Sheta.
Howdy.
Yes, I am here.
Yep, we all made it this week. We had to, I don't know. I don't know what joke I was going for there, but
You gotta set the joke up ahead of time, man.
I try to wing it, and it fails a lot of times.
Everything I say is written ahead of time. I just guess all the possible things you could ask, so I'm always prepared.
So
I don't think that's not true.
You also add the what? Those things
Yep,
in
I
there?
add those in to sound more naturalistic.
For sure.
You're about to
Yeah.
say, mm-hmm. See? I called it.
Okay, we'll just move past this and go into random questions and stuff. Shit, I had something during the week that I knew I wanted to ask, and now I have completely forgotten it. So,
I have a book of questions. You want me to ask something in there? Pick a number between 1 and 3,000.
I don't fully trust this book, but all right. We'll go with 2,478.
All right. 2,478. Where is your favorite place to window shop?
I don't want to answer this question.
All right, we are not doing these questions anymore.
No, you haven't answered me.
I do not want people knowing where I window shop.
Oh, that might be bad. Yeah. We're going to get a bunch of ads and crap. Okay. Let's do 200.
No.
Just right below. Other than candy, what do you think is a good trick or treat to hand out on Halloween?
Razor.
There we go. There's our question.
I hate that question.
No, not that. I will ask you, what is your go-to candy bar?
Does it have to be a bar?
Yes, we'll do bar first.
I mean, can it be circular shaped? Does it have to be rectangular?
It's Reese's do not count as a candy bar, Justin. Circular shape.
Just go if you like Reese's, go with one of their different bars they have.
No, those suck.
Hey, Reese's Fast Break is delicious.
No, it's not. And you can quote me on that.
All right. Well, I'll just throw out mine. My go-to is usually a Butterfinger.
Ooh.
Honorable mention will go to Snickers and Baby Ruth.
Yeah, I'm gonna be pretty boring and just say Snickers. Nice and simple.
I don't really like kind of junky chocolate that much, but I've been recently obsessed with this chocolate at Target called Choco Love. It's the toffee and almonds one, and it's just so good. I'm never going back to normal chocolate bars ever again.
Well, la-dee-da, look who's all fancy.
I got it as a present, and I was like, this is the best gift in the world.
Putting on airs for our viewers.
I'm fancy. I shop at Target. Why are you saying that?
Okay, and then moving away from candy bars, just what's your favorite candy? Then what's your go-to candy?
Peanut M&Ms, I would say, or peanut butter M&Ms if I'm feeling spicy.
Oh, all right. You're gonna say I'm putting on airs again, but I'm not. I really like Mexican candies, like anything sour, spicy, and bad for you.
Yeah, Sheta, that poisonous crap is the exact opposite of putting on airs.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be cool. That's actually a really bad guilty pleasure, but
We're all saying candy. what part of these is good for you?
Have you
It's true.
ever seen those candies she is talking about? Those things fuck you up, man. They're not good for you. I think they should be illegal, honestly.
I think
I
they
don't know
are
what it is
illegal.
about them.
All right. My candy, I'd probably go with, Reese's. I do enjoy those. Or those Nerds gummy clusters they make now with the nerds around the little gummy things.
Those are good.
Those are
Yeah,
great.
you guys sound like professionals compared to me.
Nothing wrong with the classic M&M.
No, I don't like
And-
classic M&Ms. Gross.
What?
All right. All right. And then one more. Just, what's your go-to pop you usually would go with?
I'm a Mountain
Or
Dew man
soda.
myself.
Yeah,
Okay.
pop or soda. Or if you're in the South, Coke.
I've been mining those mountains for years,
Don't say that. It's weird.
and it's taken a toll on my body all that
Yeah.
time.
So I'm thinking of a scenario where like someone's like, "Hey, what do you want to drink for a soda?" And I don't really have I guess we're all drinking soda. I prefer not to drink soda if I can, but I don't mind like a Dr. Pepper or Coke. Doesn't matter.
And with me, I'd probably go with Mountain Dew or 7-Up.
Does ginger ale count as a soda?
No,
Why wouldn't it?
it's ginger ale.
It's,
It's not a soda.
yeah. Not
All right, if you-
really. It's like
Yeah,
tonic water. Like,
Ginger ale's a pop.
I totally
what do you
disagree.
think? Let us know in the comments.
The comment. I think you should move on to the goddamn podcast.
Doing a Google search,
Oh my god.
it does. Bottom line, yes, ginger ale is most definitely considered a type of soda.
No,
Mm.
you can't trust Google anymore. No
This
way.
is from-
no, not
this
in
is
a
from,
million years.
New Jersey Bariatric Center.
Like I'd trust New Jersey's bariatric center.
Whoa.
They're in
Justin,
they're in the pockets of big ginger ale.
you don't want
I
to piss
guarantee it.
off New Jersey. You don't want to do that, Justin.
I just did.
All right, so we'll leave these junk food questions and go on to Mistborn. We will go over to Justin this week for our quick recap.
All right.
So this is not going to be in order, but they went to. Let's see. Oh,
You need
Spook
help?
saved a child from a fire, and he looked like the second coming of
Spider-Man.
Kelsier as he did so to people. Yeah, Spider-Man. Breeze and Sazed watched. Them and Aurian riled up the crowd to help Spook's escape. They now know Spook has superpowers. Elend and Vin went to the city whose name I forget. You know the one. Elend went and riled up the crowd by doing a bunch of philosophical fighting with how can I forget his
Yeoman.
name? Yeah, Yeoman. Yeah. And while Vin went in to infiltrate and find the stockpile the Lord Ruler had left, but when she went in there, she was blocked off, and it was very shocking. And then we got back to her, and she saw her brother. But I'm missing a totally important part. What was it? Oh, and the citizen's wearing blue now.
You had
Oh
Marsh.
yeah, Marsh went into this. Yeah, we saw Marsh go have a little bit of fun in Luthadel, where he impaled Penrod's
Pedro
heart.
Pascal.
No, impaled his heart with a little sliver thing that we now know is how Ruin influences people, is by getting little things of metal in them that have been hemalurgied a little bit.
Yep.
Meh. Too short.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. It does not need to be 7 minutes long.
All right, Joe. Get off my back.
You brought it up.
Yeah, because you hurt my feelings.
All right. So this week we read chapters 45 through 51. So as per usual, I'll ask you two, how'd you two feel about these chapters? How'd you enjoy them?
I hated them. No, I'm lying. I liked them the same as I've liked all the previous chapters.
Yes, same. And I like learning anything new I learn about the mysteries is good. Can't come fast enough.
The just scary mysteries.
Yeah, just scary.
I brought up a religious cult from Elantris.
Oh yeah, no wonder that sounded familiar. No, not those.
All right. Well, we'll dive right into these chapters this week. So this week we started part 4 of the book called Beautiful Destroyer. Chapter 45. A man with a given power, such as an allomantic ability, who then gained a hemalurgic spike granting that same power, would be nearly twice as strong as a natural unenhanced allomancer. An inquisitor who was a seeker before his transformation would therefore have an enhanced ability to use bronze. This simple fact explains how many inquisitors were able to pierce copper clouds.
That's why.
Makes me wonder about Vin, right? And her ability to do such a thing. With your
Yeah,
theories last week, Sheta.
yeah. Really mysteriously. It was kind of nostalgic to think about. Oh, remember when we first learned about Inquisitors and they were so scary and weird? Like, they were like all inhuman, and now we know what they are a little bit more. Like, they
Yeah,
somehow just knew where Vin was.
when they first introduced them, they were nightmarish, completely unexpected. Now you're just like, oh yeah, another guy with spikes in his eyes.
Hmm.
In fact, we've got a main character who's one of those now.
Yeah.
Even if he's a main character now, I'd still call him kind of nightmarish and, scary and weird.
Yeah, but we're used to it. We're like, oh, good old Marsh with his nice spike
Yeah.
eyes.
Unky Marsh, he's fine.
Yeah, Unky Marsh,
Just
that's
gets
right.
just gets a little crazy, a little violent sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
As all uncles do. You know how it is. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
So chapter, it picks up right where the last one left off. And so Vin, she stops her attack that she was doing and she studies Reen. He looks just like Reen, but his eyes just weren't right. So Vin assumes that he is a Khandra, and she asks him about Tensoon. But Reen responds that he is not a Khandra. So then Vin tries to use her metals to take control of him, but it does not work. Since he was not a Khandra, nor was he Reen, Vin decides to attack, but Reen manages to just stay out of reach. The light from Vin's lantern that she had dropped goes out, and Vin then keeps attacking in the dark. And even though she is wearing absolutely no metal on her, so Reen should not be able to sense where she's at, he's still able to dodge her attacks with ease. And Vin realizes that her sense of him reminds her of the pulses she felt that led her to the Well of Ascension. And Reen laughs and responds back with the voice of Ruin. Vin asks Ruin what it wants, and Ruin answers that it wants to bring the world to its end. Vin asks why Ruin has come to her, and he answers that he never left. He has always been with her. Ruin's voice changes back to Reen's and says that anyone will betray her. He has always been with her, and she has heard him in her mind since her first years of life.
There goes my theory.
What was your theory again?
That it was the earring that made it so that
Well,
Ruin could talk to Vin. But if he's been with her, then that means it's something to do with her powers and not something that was made later.
well, one, do you believe him explicitly, And two, do you believe he's being literal about that,
Maybe he means like your misbirth.
I mean, we
Misbirth.
know for a fact he's a liar because if he's telling the truth and he's pretended to be Reen's voice, then he's a liar,
It's
So,
true. But sometimes liars are like people you can trust the most because, well, when they're lying or something.
what? I'm sorry, I'm lost on that. Are you
Well,
saying
like
because
you can
you
trust
can
liars
trust
to
that they're
lie.
lying?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I see.
So like sometimes you're like, well, it's the ones that always tell the truth you gotta look out for and stuff.
What are you what? No.
The
A
ones that you
liar
think
who's really
tell you
good
the
at
truth.
lying will tell the truth, at the worst times and lie at the worst times for you.
Also, why?
Like that's just crazy, Shayna.
Also, why can't it be Ruin who was talking to her before if it had to do with the earring?
Because she didn't have an earring when she was born, I imagine is what you're saying,
Oh
Sheta.
yeah, yeah. Unless she had a baby earring, then I don't think so.
She's had her earring since she was, her mother gave her that earring, so she's had it since she was very, very young.
Yeah, but was it
Yes, but
like
first year of
actually?
life is the question.
Yeah, is it baby earring? Like I'm saying,
Again,
sometimes
that's
they
if
pierce.
Ruin is talking literally.
I have a
And,
theory about
if her
that as
mom
well.
isn't in on it, which I'm starting to suspect she might have been.
Yeah, totally. Her mom was a weirdo.
I kind of think
Like,
her mom might have done. I'll save that for later.
yeah, I have that same thought,
Yeah,
Justin.
it's one of the most clickbaity things I've ever said, but we'll go on.
Yeah.
Well, that
Scroll to the bottom to find out.
Mm-hmm.
Vin's mother did what? Click to learn
Yeah.
more.
I can't believe Vin's mother did this thing.
Not this thing. Just I can't believe Vin's mother, and then the text cuts off. You've got to click
Oh
it to
yeah.
read the rest.
Dang. I
Top
gotta know.
But
top
then,
10 top 10 things that Vin's mother did. Number 8 will surprise you.
yeah,
Oh my gosh.
Anything else from this chapter you two want to go over?
you called
No.
it, Sheta, about this not being
Yeah.
Reen.
Yeah, I knew. You said
Yeah,
I'm
Sheta, you
right and
called
I'm
it.
smart.
I didn't say the second part, but I did say the first
I'm,
part.
Well, we'll move on to chapter 46 then. Ruin's escape deserves some explanation. This is a thing that even I had a problem understanding. Ruin could not have used the power at the Well of Ascension. It was of preservation, Ruin's fundamental opposite. Indeed, a direct confrontation of these two forces would have caused the destruction of both. Ruin's prison, however, was fabricated of that power. Therefore, it was attuned to the power of preservation, the very power of the well. When that power was released and dispersed, rather than utilized, it acted as a key. The subsequent unlocking is what finally freed Ruin.
Did that need explanation? That's kind of just what I thought it said.
I think it's doing that because then the next couple epigraphs are also talking about the prison, so it's probably
I know. Just
setting
whoever
that
this
up.
is saying that they didn't understand it makes me curious. But they did say there even I had trouble, correct? Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
yeah.
So that means it's somebody who would expect themselves to be able to understand it, not somebody who would consider themselves that this kind of thing would be above their either their knowledge on the subject or their ability to understand something.
It's just gotta be Sazed then.
Well, that points to him.
But sometimes
He
Vin
could
thinks
voice.
she knows a lot of stuff, so.
Mm-hmm. If it's somebody who
And
feels that they're very knowledgeable about this stuff, it doesn't have to be somebody necessarily smart, but at least somebody who's believes that they know a lot.
could be Elend. He's kind of a know-it-all. Just kidding.
Yeah, except it referenced Elend before,
Yeah, I know. He's already crossed off.
unless it's
Unless there's
Elend's
more than one
clone.
person.
Yeah.
No. No, that's stupid.
Elend's alternate universe counterpart could be a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's Shan Ilariel returned from the dead.
That I doubt.
She comes back to become a god. Alright, so now we go into the chapter. Bree, Seiza, and Alrian are discussing what the hell happened to Spook. Alrian worries that he hasn't returned, but Bree says that Spook is likely fine. They wonder how he could have made the leap off of the building with ease, and suggest that maybe he was secretly a Mistborn the whole time, but Breeze refuses to accept that. Seiza thinks about using his copper mines to search if a person has ever gained more powers in the past, but stops himself. He knows what the answer will be, and he still doesn't want to go into his copper mines until after he goes through all his religions. He has about 50 religions left and goes back to them. The current one is the religion of the Nelizon people, and they worship Trell. Seiza gets frustrated with the religion because it is just simply too vague with the answers, but he does not dismiss the religion right away because he isn't in the right mood to properly analyze it. Alright, and then we move over to Spook. And Spook sneaks up to Beldre, who's alone in that garden area. And he tells her that he knows why she is so sad. He points out that she and her brother were related to nobility and likely lived in their society. He tells her that he knows that Quellion is a coin shot. He thought that she had been sad because of the loss of the garden, or being excluded from her brother's conferences. But now he knows it is because of the people her brother is executing. Spook killed for the first time today, so he knows sorrow. And also, Kelsier is telling Spook that he should just go and kill Quellion right now. Beldre tells Spook that he is a simplistic fool, but Spook says that Quellion is killing children in order to cover up the fact that he is gathering Allomancers. He asks Beldre to come with him, and that he is going to overthrow her brother. If she left with him, maybe it might even convince Quellion that he is wrong, and there will be a peaceful transfer of power. But Beldre says that she will scream if Spook doesn't leave, but Spook calls her bluff, thinking that she won't. And then she does begin to scream, and Spook leaves. Once again, Kelsier tells Spook to kill Quellion, but he does not. And then we jump back to Sazed, and he's looking over all of his metal mines that he's laid down on the table. Most of them are empty from the battle for Luthadel a year earlier, and he has not recharged any of them in the past year. In the middle of all his metal mines are his copper mines, and Sazed thinks about how they hold all the knowledge that the Keepers had gathered over the last millennium. We get a little bit of lore about how he stored those, like a Keeper from a generation before would tell Sazed all the information that he knew, and Sazed would save that into his metal mines. All the Keepers did this in the hopes of someday finding the terrorist religion, which they still had never been able to find.
Even though Sazed's all depressed, I'm so mad at him for not storing up any more shit in those metal mines, because that can be so useful in a clutch.
Yeah. Yep. Could be the doom of them.
Breeze walks into the room and says that he does not understand Sazed. He asks if Sazed thinks that this is what Tindwyl would have wanted. But Sazed explains that after the Lord Ruler's death, he had gone out and he began teaching. But it didn't matter because the people did not care about dead religions. The knowledge in the metal mines are a thing of museums and libraries and have little use for people in the modern world. The Keepers thought they were doing something important, but Vin did not need this knowledge in order to kill the Lord Ruler. To wear the metal mines now would be to pretend that Sazed finds the things in them useful. But Breeze says that Sazed is confused, and that there is still a need for knowledge in this dark world. In fact, it may be what they need the most. But Sazed says that there is a darkness upon this land, and he is not sure that they can fight it, or if he even wants to fight it. And while they're talking, another earthquake hits.
I wonder if Sazed is infected with Ruin's depression.
I was wondering that too, but I kind of think it just comes from a natural place.
Mm. Yeah, that would be more interesting.
And Gordel shows up and he informs them that Spook has returned. They all go to meet him, and Spook just takes control of the group. He says that Elend wants Urteau, so they will deliver it to him. Quellion is using Allomancers, so they will expose that, and it will cause the system to collapse. And Breeze agrees that they can use that. Spook asks Sazed if there is a way to reverse the canals in order to flood the streets again. Sazed says that he doesn't have the knowledge, but Spook asks if the knowledge is in his metal mines, which Sazed confirms. So Spook tells him to use the metal mines. Spook explains they will give the people someone else to follow, a person that survives flames and floods the streets again. Sazed asks Spook what he isn't sharing with them. Spook says he doesn't know if he can explain it right now, but he will explain it eventually. Sazed looks into Spook's eyes and sees that Spook cares about this city, while Sazed did not care. If Spook wants to lead, then why should Sazed argue? Sazed decides to use the copper mines again solely for the knowledge that they need and not to use it for any religious stuff. If he did that, then he will not be a hypocrite. And that's the end of the chapter.
I'm wondering if Sazed not telling him this stuff is going to wind up being good in some way. If it isn't Ruin leading him, you know.
Yeah, since Ruin can hear everything.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that's
Yeah.
what it is, but it's got me wondering that because I'm so paranoid.
Yeah. Maybe everyone keeping secrets is a good thing.
The moral is never let your friends in on anything you're going through ever.
Yeah. Don't share anything, just hold it inside.
Bear
There's always another
everything
secret.
yourself. That's what it is.
All right. Anything else from this chapter either of you two want to go over?
You know, you got me thinking there. What did Kelsier know that we don't know about, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we did see in his head, and I think then we would have seen if he knew more than he was letting on.
I mean, that's how the Lord Ruler lived. He didn't, you know. Vin and them are always like, didn't he? Well, I think we said that. Why didn't he share anything with anybody?
Mm-hmm.
But it was a lonely life for the Lord Ruler.
Fuck him.
He was saving the world, Justin,
Uh-huh.
protecting us in his
Uh,
way
he was also
No.
killing a lot of people.
I can see Sheta's,
to save more people.
from later chapters, I can see where Sheta's going with that, but I won't talk on that till we get there. More clickbait. You'll never believe why the Lord Ruler... That's the clickbait.
Okay, well, we'll go on to chapter 47. Ruin's prison was not like those that hold men. He wasn't bound by bars. In fact, he could move about freely. His prison, rather, was one of impotence. In the terms of forces and gods, this meant balance. If Ruin were to push, the prison would push back, essentially rendering Ruin powerless. And because much of his power was stripped away and hidden, he was unable to affect the world in any but the most subtle of ways. I should stop here and clarify something. We speak of Ruin being freed from his prison, but that is misleading. Releasing the power at the well tipped the aforementioned balance back towards Ruin, but he was still too weak to destroy the world in the blink of an eye as he yearned to do. This weakness was caused by part of Ruin's powers, his very body, having been taken and hidden from him, which is why Ruin became so obsessed with finding the hidden part of his self.
Well, there we go.
Everyone's looking for themselves.
Yeah.
I'm
The
just
use
trying
of
to
the
find
word...
myself.
Mm-hmm. The use of the word gods, plural, there is interesting to me. It makes me wonder what things that this narrator knows that we don't know yet, Because as far as we last heard, there's powers out there, but they wouldn't call them gods, And
Mhm.
there's ruin and preservation they kind of vaguely know about, but the way it's talked about sounds like that idea is bigger than just two forces at odds. So I'm very curious about that.
Well, one of the epigraphs said something like that, like that it was bigger than anything that he had
Hmm.
or they had known. So I think
Yeah.
must have learned something.
Oh, yeah. Something for sure.
So we're with Elend, and he's standing in the mist thinking about Vin. It has been 3 days since she was captured, and there has been no further news from Yeoman. He tells himself that she will be alright. He looks around at the mist and knows that Vince hates it now, but the mist just felt right to him. Set comes up to Elend, and Elend informs him that Ham isn't here because he is dealing with a fist fight between the men. Set says that the men are restless. And then he also tells Ellen that Vin is as good as dead, but Ellen doesn't believe that. Set says that Damu has put the men on half rations today. They don't have time to wait out the siege with Luthadel in revolt and with how much ash is falling now. And the men that they had sent out to harry the nearby villages only found starving villages with barely any food. The men could not find it in themselves to take the little food. And Set thinks that Elend is a bad leader, but also notes that Elend's men trust him, and maybe now is the time for a leader of trust instead of one with fear. Set says they must strike against Fadrix and take what they can, and then head back to Luthadel and grow crops. And then Elend hears a commotion coming from in the camp, and he heads out to go investigate. He finds soldiers in a fight with each other, and he watches as Damu tries to break it up, but one of the soldiers punches him. And then Ellen intervenes and asks what is going on. And the soldiers blame the Mistfallen for their bad luck and Vin being taken. And they cannot stand the Mistfallen preaching of the survivor and his blessings, and then having the Mistfallen's leader come in to break it up. Ham and some Mistings arrive, and Ham gathers up the soldiers that were in the fight for a reprimand. Ellen is annoyed at the superstitions about the Mistfallen causing these problems, but Damu says they are just looking for someone to blame. And Ellen says that he recognized the man Bilge as the one who punched Damu. And since it was a general that man has punched, Ellen is going to have him executed.
Ugh, I hated that so much. I hate that. I mean, I understand it's a military, there's all that stuff, but I just hate executing people for something. He says it, for a momentary lapse in judgment. This is why I would be an awful, awful military leader.
Emperor.
Yeah, an even worse emperor.
It's got to be
I try
done.
to ration it by these guys
Gotta
were
be
not
done.
conscripted into the army. They're here by choice, Elend said. So they know what they signed up for. They know the consequences for stuff, but still, it doesn't feel good, which it's not supposed to, but it's an interesting thing to talk about and think about what the line is.
Ham says that the other fight that he had broken up was also between normal soldiers and the Mistfallen. And Elend decides that he has to do something about this. So he sends Damu, along with all the Mistfallen, back to Luthadel in order to give Penrod the support that Penrod asked for.
Oh no.
What are you trying to say about Penrod, Sheta? You think he's not trustworthy?
I think you mean pen not rod?
You should say pretend rod. That's what I'd call him.
Pretend rod. I hate it.
Well, it's still Penrod. He can just be manipulated. It's said that he cannot be
when
outright
you can get
controlled.
manipulated. When you can get manipulated to the level they're implying, you're basically a different person. You have a whole voice in your head.
Well, it works for Randy Orton.
He's crazy.
After Damu leaves, Elend tells Ham that this isn't right, but sending away the Mistfallen and executing the man is what they need to do in order to keep the army together. He also says that Set is right, and they cannot simply continue waiting. And then Elend goes to Norden's tent and looks at his maps. He finds one with the location of Kolos bands. Elend will have to turn the odds against Yeoman. And that's the chapter.
Oh, I feel like that's not going to end well.
Well, it all depends on what the moral of the book is.
All right, then the guy who punched Damu, Bilge, do either of you two remember him?
No, sadly. Wait, was he on the wall with Sazed?
No.
Okay, never. No.
All right, so Bilge was the guy back in the Final Empire when Kelsier had to make somebody angry and fight. He's the one that challenged Kelsier, and then he's the one who Kelsier had Damu fight in that book.
So this is their first fight, huh?
Yeah, and then Damu broke his arm, and like Kelsier was trying to force Damu to kill him, but Damu managed to stop himself.
More evidence that Kelsier was always ruined.
All right. Anything else from this chapter you two want to go over?
No, I'm good.
I will just go on to the next chapter then. So chapter 48. Once freed, Ruin was able to affect the world more directly. The most obvious way he did this was by making the ash mounts emit more ash and the earth begin to break apart. As a matter of fact, I believe that much of Ruin's energy during those last days was dedicated to these tasks. He was also able to affect and control far more people than before. Where he had once influenced only a select few individuals, he can now direct entire Kolos armies.
That's interesting, because so far we've only seen his stealing visitors do it, unless that means he's doing it through them.
Yeah, maybe, since he doesn't have a body right now.
I also think it implies something dangerous for what Elend's doing later on.
Oh, what? Getting
What?
more Kolos? Getting more
We'll say
Kolos?
when we get there.
So Vin is in the cavern in darkness, since she had knocked over the lantern and, the oil spilled out, and she's no longer able to light it. While she's in there, Ruin comes and goes, and when he returns, he uses Reen's voice. Vin knows that Ruin cannot read her mind, and she pieces together that it was not always Ruin when she had heard Reen's voice. Sometimes it was Ruin, and other times it was just herself. Vin wonders how she could beat Ruin. It had been imprisoned before, so it could be defeated, or at least bottled up. And she thinks about Zane had been talking to someone before he died, so he was likely manipulated by Ruin. Zane had wanted to have her follow her instincts and go to the well, so that was why Ruin pushed her towards leaving with him. Ruin wants to destroy the world, but it hasn't done so already, which means that it was hindered. Granted, the gradual destruction by the ash and mist will eventually destroy it. Since Ruin's imprisonment predated Rashik using the power, then that meant that Ruin wasn't related to the deepness, or at least it wasn't so simple as he was the deepness. Also, since the mist killing people predated Vin releasing Ruin, then his release was not the reason why the mist started killing.
Thinking about all this stuff, and the characters thinking in the same ways you're trying to.
Yeah, we're solving it together.
Vin walks around the cavern over some stew that she had uncanned a few days ago. Yeoman had removed all the water from the cavern and left her with no tools to open the can, so she had to use like pewter and a rock. And she is currently down to 1 vial left of pewter. Vin goes over to the metal plaque that the Lord Ruler had left. On the one side, instead of a map like the other plaques had been, there was a circle with a dot at the center. And on the side with the message, pretty much the message, was the Lord Ruler saying that he has failed if this is being read. He thinks about how he has tried to be a good ruler and that he can hear Ruin's voice in his head. Lord Ruler doesn't understand why people rebel against his perfect government and that he has to slaughter them when they do. He also knows that Ruin's power is not complete and that he has hidden his body well. Vin's upset the Lord Ruler didn't leave them more, and Elend was relying on this message. Vin does latch onto the part about about hiding Ruin's body well, and that it must be important. And then the door to the cavern begins to open. And that's the end of the chapter.
This is the most we've gotten from the Lord Ruler's actual perspective, so I appreciated that quite a bit.
Yeah, this is like really personal.
Mm-hmm. It's really... This is a question we've always had, which is, how much of what he was doing was him just being an evil bastard, and how much was him trying to do good, It turns out it's in the middle, and he was just corrupted and influenced for a long time, or maybe was always an asshole, as Vin says, and that was brought out more. But either way, he start out as somebody who wanted to be slaughtering thousands of people, So it's really interesting to think, well, Vin has these thoughts too, and maybe even Elend, other people, wondering how they would be in 1,000 years, if they would have been able to be corrupted as well, or if they would have been able to hold on to their own feelings and morals more. Because 1,000 years of something whispering in your ear like that, not knowing what thoughts are yours and its, that sounds quite disorienting and scary to me.
So having no one to talk to about it, no
That
one to
too,
share that
yeah.
with. He didn't have a crew like Kelsey or Vin and Dylan do. Like no
Mhm.
friends. In isolation, yeah, you're gonna go pretty crazy. Carrying all these secrets in your head.
Anything else from this chapter you do want to go over?
No, well, good.
Well, Sheta, you were defending the Lord.
Justin?
We had a little bit of technical difficulty with Justin's mic, so he's having to record on a phone now, so his mic will sound different than before. Don't judge him for it.
Hello,
Judge him.
guys. I may sound a little different, but it's still me.
Oh my god, stop that. Oh, that's
Okay.
nightmare.
All right. So when it went off, Justin, you were telling Sheta you're saying about her talking about Lord Ruler before.
Yeah, Sheta, you sounded like you were defending him a bit before. I assume that's because of some of the stuff in here, so I'm curious how much of that is that and how much of that is just you bullshitting.
What's this? It's what those things that we've learned about him.
Yeah? What do you see about him differently here? Because to me, I see a man who was weak and pathetic and couldn't stand having this thing for 1,000 years, and it made everyone suffer. What do you see?
What? No. I see a man who knows the truth and he has gone kind of like what are those like I don't want to offend anybody, but like people who get really paranoid about the end of the world and they start buying a bunch of rations and building cellars and stuff like that.
Well, that
Doomsday
was a
preppers.
rational thing.
Yeah. Huh?
That was a rational thing for him to do, though, because that's totally different. I'm talking about him killing hundreds of thousands of people all the time.
Where do you think that kind of thinking leads? Just like, okay, now we got to do this. Now we got to do that. Like, like he's panicking or he's doing what he thinks is right, and he has been doing that for like thousands of years and stuff. So it's not
Yeah,
even the same to him.
the question is, would somebody of a stronger moral clarity have been able to endure that more and endure those whispers? Or would anyone, after enough time, have fallen to how he's acting?
That's what I think, because even with our protagonists, they are already doubting their judgment and they're super young. They're already
Mm-hmm.
thinking, will I be the next Lord Ruler? Like, both of them are having thoughts like that. And they've only had that for like a year, I think for sure whatever this is grading to the soul on another level, So
So you think in 1,000 years, Vin will be performing fountain executions?
yeah.
I don't
Vin
know if I
especially.
believe it. I don't believe it.
I don't know.
Also, we know from the epigraphs of the first two books that Rashik was kind of a dickhead before he gained this power.
That's
Yeah.
part of why I think that.
I think they would last a bit longer. And maybe don't do it to the extreme that the Lord Ruler did, but they would do something
The
similar.
extreme.
Because if you think
Okay.
about it, Ellen's already doing the like everyone go into the mist and whoever dies dies. Like, you know, that's pretty. He wouldn't have done that before. He's already
Yes,
pushed a
but
bit.
what about the sacrificing so many people at the fountain beheadings? That's the specific thing. That's the one step we have that the Lord Ruler does that's just too evil and seems to be for virtually no purpose
No,
except to
no, no.
keep people.
That was to punish and flush out Kelsier, who's trying to free Ruin.
No,
That
because this is not a common. This is something he does all the time, so we know that's not true.
is
He may
it?
have been doing that in this. Yeah, they said that this is not
Well,
like an unprecedented thing at all. They have
yeah, but
seating. The nobles were all talking casually. This kind of thing happens all the time, you know?
I guess I'm thinking of when he specifically grabs like Spook and them, like
Yeah,
our
no, for
friends.
sure.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
anything that has like a reason behind it. I may call evil, but wouldn't be like, pure evil. That's why I'm asking, do you think that that is justifiable in his mind in some way? In a way that Vin and Ellen could fall to, where they would be sacrificing people like that specifically.
We have not found out the reason why he did that stuff. Like, is it for sheer cruelty or is it for some kind of purpose? So if we find out that purpose, like, yeah, he needs to feed Ruin or something like that, um, then I'll have an answer then.
I don't know. I feel like we would have found that out here if that was a thing.
Yeah, if at the end of this book and they're just like, yeah, he just did that for no real
Okay, so
reason.
let's
Yeah.
just assume that that was him being corrupted and him whispering in his ear. That's my whole question. Just after 1,000 years of being whispered to, you start doing that level of things to try to hold on to your power in your mind. That was my question from the start.
Is if Ellen and Vin would do that? Is that what you're saying?
If you're saying that you believe the Lord Ruler is sympathetic here, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So he would only be sympathetic if our heroes could fall to this level after 1,000 years. That's what I'm asking. Do you think that's possible? If there's no like super sci-fi reason why he had to do that?
I think they could fall to that. I think that I already said the influence is more grating on their souls than anything we could think of, and we they're only human, no matter how good they are, and they are not perfect either. Like they've made mistakes. They've had flashes of like seemingly violent and cruel things that they've done and stuff like that.
I agree with you, but when you use words like they've made mistakes and then we cut to 1,000 years later, they're sacrificing thousands of people for almost no reason. I don't know if I can follow that same. I don't know if I believe they'd fall to that. I
Okay.
wonder.
We don't know because no one's lived for 1,000 years. So
Anything else you two want to go over with this chapter?
I think
no.
there's so much to talk about, but I feel like Sheta's kind of saying, until we have just a little more information about what's going on, we can't really analyze what he's saying here.
Yep, and I don't want to say anything until we get to the end of the books. I don't want to tip you one way or the other with my
Yeah,
thoughts.
absolutely.
I'm trying to get you to slip, Joe, but you're being too quiet.
Oh, trust me, I want to add into this, but then I don't want you to, know what may or may not happen in the story from what I say.
Gosh, I want to finish this book so badly.
Well, we're getting close.
It could.
All right. So on to chapter 49. One might ask why Ruin couldn't have used Inquisitors to release him from his prison. The answer to this is simple enough if one understands the workings of power. Before the Lord Ruler's death, he maintained too tight a grip on them to let Ruin control them directly. Even after the Lord Ruler's death, however, such a servant of Ruin could never have rescued him. The power in the well was of preservation, and an Inquisitor only have taken it by first removing his hemalurgic spikes. That, of course, would have killed him. Thus, Ruin needed a much more indirect way to achieve his purpose. He needs someone he hadn't taken too much, but someone he could lead by the nose, carefully manipulating.
Yeah, that hadn't tainted too much line is creepy as hell.
Maybe
I really wonder, once we get the curtain pulled back a little more, what we're going to learn about what poor Vin's life has even been. How much of it is even real.
I don't want to think about it. That's too sad.
Kelsier, too. That's the one I'm actually even more curious about.
Yep. I don't want to think about that either. All their heroes are just pawns. That would be so
Well,
sad.
the Lord Ruler killed Kelsier's love, right? Or no, he didn't. No, she got killed in the mines. Never mind. I'm wrong.
Yeah, but she got killed by the mines because the Lord Ruler sent her there.
Yeah. Still, though. What I was thinking was very specific, so that doesn't work.
All right, so we're back to Sazed, and he's studying about canals, and he's getting really into the scholarship work. Breeze comes in, and he's glad to see Sazed excited about studying again. Breeze doesn't know what Sazed was studying before, but he was worried that Sazed would not share it with anyone. And Sazed tells Breeze that he does feel guilty about being happy to be able to sit and read, and to let Spook take over and lead. This isn't what Tyndall would have wanted. She wanted Sazed to be a leader. But Breeze points out that she fell in love with Sazed because of who he was, and not because he was a leader. Sazed thinks about his religions and how the canals have been a nice distraction from them, but he knows that he will have to go back to them. He asks Breeze about Spook, and Breeze says that the way Spook is now, it's good. When Spook had suggested they kill Quellion weeks ago, Breeze said that they didn't have Kelsier, but now, with how the people are treating Spook, they are getting their own Kelsier.
Man, I don't know how to feel about all of this. I don't know what's right. It's really scary.
Well, I'd say overthrowing Quellion is right, regardless of the reasons and stuff. I can't think of a reason to keep him around.
Yeah, but what to replace him with Spook, aka Ruin? I don't know if that's any better. Like, it just
What
seems like this is
benefit do you think Ruin would have of overthrowing Quellion here? That's the question for if he's being manipulated.
probably something that we don't know about.
Very well
Maybe
could
he's
be,
onto
yeah.
something. Maybe he's like,
Oh,
maybe
Quellion?
yeah, maybe he's onto something. Maybe he's building a body to fight the Ruin. I don't know.
Building a
Like,
body like Spook's body, like somebody who's pushed past the limits of humanity, you know?
yeah, like someone trying to whatever he's doing could be a threat to Ruin that we don't know. We don't know what his plans are really, except that he's kind of a douche and a liar.
Right, Spook comes in and he's worried that they have not been attacked by now. Quellion is a bully and he should have sent his soldiers to attack him. Breeze asks how Quellion came into power. Spook explains that Quellion had gone out into the mist and declared anyone with faith in the survivor would be safe in them. The mist killed those with evil in their hearts, and the ones who survived were declared pure. Spook adds that Quellion glosses over the fact that nobles never got taken by the mist, which surprises Sazed. And it's not just noble-blooded people, but any actual nobles never get sick. Elend's army is made up of ska, so they would not have noticed this.
How do you not know this fact? I thought that was so weird.
Because people avoid the myths, right? Like they're
Yeah,
always been
no,
quite
I just mean that's a
superstitious of them.
huge, sorry, that's a huge, big, obvious thing. But I mean, I believe that they didn't find that out because what nobles would go out in the dirty outside, you know?
Well, Mistborn have always gone out, right? So we know it's
Yeah,
tied to the nobility in some way, or we always kind of knew, but not to this
yeah.
level,
Hmm.
because the myths weren't killing people at the levels that they are now, right?
Hmm.
And Spook asks Sazed about the canals. Sazed explains that he will be able to build a system that can be used to refill the canals. And then Gordell comes in and informs them that the citizen's sister has arrived and is waiting for them. So the group goes to see her, and Beldre informs them that she did not come to join them. She is here because they are going to kill her brother. She tries to say that he is a good man and they need to give him more time. Quellion believes that Spook and the gang are simply riding the survivor's popularity and claiming to be his friends after he had sacrificed himself to kill the Lord Ruler. But she trusts them because men who lie don't save children from burning buildings. Bree, Spook, Sazed, and Alrian go out in the hallway to discuss Beldre, and they figure that she is incredibly naive and was very likely raised noble. And they go back in, and Spook tells Beldre that they will give her a lot more time to convince him. Beldre tries to tell them that she can't wait too long, and then she realizes that they are going to keep her captive. Spook says that they are going to spread rumors that Quellion's own sister had turned against him. Beldre says that nobody will believe that, but Spook points out that she avoided his soldiers and was seen entering the embassy. Beldre says that this is deceitful, and what would the survivor do? Spook chuckles and says that he likely would have suggested this himself.
I think it's so funny, Beldre, because she's kind of what we thought Alrianne was like when she first showed up.
Yeah.
Anything else from this chapter you two want to go over?
Just, I always like trying to imagine what Spook is hearing while he's talking to everybody. Because, you know, we only really get to see him with Kelsier when he's alone, except that one part where he said he didn't like Breeze. So when he makes little lines like that, I appreciate getting to get a little glimpse into what he may be hearing.
Yeah. And what we see on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that. I'm scared for Spook.
You should be.
He's turning into a creepier creep.
I thought you liked him creepy.
Yeah, but now it's crossing the line for me into like crazy. Crazy.
He hasn't done anything crazy yet, though.
Yeah, I'm really proud of him for fighting with Kelsier's voice in his head,
Yeah, not just blindly obeying, even
Yeah,
though he
and be like,
respects Kelsier so much.
yeah. It just shows how much of his own man he's become over the years. Otherwise, he would have just been like, okay, I'll kill him now or whatever. Yeah, which is confusing to me because it's like goes to show that maybe Kelsier, the real Kelsier, taught him well, better than that. I don't know. Kelsier or his uncle.
I don't know, how much did he really actually talk to Kelsier to learn anything from him?
Well, not talk,
is he?
but just from example.
Well, yeah, I'm saying, did Kelsier actually set a good example for that kind of stuff?
I mean, to not just take it from whoever says they're in charge. Just a rebellious nature in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Trust your instincts, maybe, and despite what other people might say.
All right. Well, if we have nothing else for this chapter, we'll move on to chapter 50. One can see Ruin's craftiness and the meticulousness of his planning. He managed to orchestrate the downfall of the Lord Ruler only a short time before Preservation's power returned to the Well of Ascension. And then, within a few years of that event, he had freed himself. On the timescale of gods and their power, this very tricky timing was as precise as an expert cut performed by the most talented of surgeons.
That gives us some confirmation that he was incredibly related to the everything Kelsier was doing in some way.
Yeah, he was involved.
Mm-hmm.
If not the mastermind behind
whoever's
I don't like that.
Yeah, whoever's writing this at least attributes the Lord Ruler's downfall to him, not to the people who actually did it.
Yeah, that's so sad. I don't like that. Our friends worked so hard and they cared so much. It's just too sad.
So we're back to Vin, and she immediately rushes out the door after it opens and tries to leap up and out of the next room. Unfortunately, she is unable to push the trap door open. Even using pewter and duralumin, it doesn't do anything. And a man that had walked, because there was a man and a couple servants that were there, and the man informs her that there is a very large rock on top of the trapdoor. And Vin recognizes the man as Teldon Hastings, one of Elend's friends. Teldon informs her that he is here to get her to drink some wine with a sedative in it. Vin tries to threaten him in order to have him signal up to Yeoman that she is unconscious, but he says that Yeoman could likely tell if he was being coerced to do it. Next, Vin threatens to kill the servants in the room to make Teldon let her out. But he points out that she doesn't go around killing innocent Ska. Plus, Elend was always more of the Ska lover person. He didn't really mind, so it might not affect him much.
He was so funny when he's like, well, I like to talk philosophy, but that doesn't mean I'm into all that crazy stuff for real. That made me like him quite a bit.
So, Vin decides to take her chances on the wine, since if she doesn't, then Yeoman will likely just let her starve to death. She thinks she might be able to burn off the poison quickly enough with duralumin and pewter. So I was wrong. I misspoke. She did not use duralumin trying to push the trapdoor earlier, because she's going to use the duralumin with pewter right now. And even if that does
all our theories, Joe, damn you.
And even if that does not work, facing Yeoman is better than starving. So Vin drinks the wine, but the Duralum Pewter combo does not work, and she goes unconscious.
So funny to
That's-
me that with all this power, they slaughter armies. She feels like a god. A giant rock can still hold her back.
Yeah. I always like seeing the limits of powers like that.
All right. Anything else from this chapter you want to go over?
This friend of Ellen seems a lot more competent than the other one did to me. That he had the balls to
Justice?
come in and do this. Yeah,
Yeah, this guy's pretty cool.
I liked him. Even though he seems like a bit of a dick, I liked him.
He's honest. I like that.
Well, he's smart enough to know that he's not going to be able to go in there and trick her to drink it like Yeoman probably expected them to do, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, he's
because
smart
he
about it.
knows she's not going to be trusting. You're not going to be able to talk her into it. And
Mm-hmm.
trying to trick her will mean you'll never be able to get her to just do it on her own, you know. So I thought that was a really interesting way to do that plan. And I like that her plan didn't. I thought that was really funny and interesting. So we'll
So
see if she
sad.
wakes up earlier than she's supposed to, which I suspect she may.
Yeah, maybe. She was pretty badass for just like being like, fuck it, I'm just gonna try. Better than being stuck in the hole again. Like, it's my best chance. Like, worst comes to worst, I'll at least not be in the hole. You know, so I liked her
And
reasoning
make the
there.
next plan from there. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like survivor
Unless she
thinking.
just wakes up with no arms and legs, of course.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a gamble. But I mean, I would not do that. I wouldn't have the balls to do that. I'd be like, no way.
I wouldn't have the balls to do half of what any of the characters in these do.
All right. So we'll move on to our last chapter for today. Chapter 51. Once Ruin was free from his prison, he was able to influence people more strongly. But impaling someone with a hemalurgic spike was difficult no matter what the circumstances. To achieve such things, he apparently began with people who already had a tenuous grip on reality. Their insanity made them more open to his touch, and he can use them to spike more stable people. Either way, it's impressive how many important people Ruin managed to spike. King Penrod, ruling Luthadel at the time, is a very good example of this.
Ruling Luthadel at the time, so we know at least that's going to go one direction.
Yeah.
Also, you know, he's got your lovable old Zane, Sheta, tenuous grasp on reality.
Yeah.
Wait.
Sorry.
What about her mom? Her mom had a tenuous grasp on reality,
Yes,
right?
Justin.
Sounded like.
I was already going to talk about that later. You want to do it now?
No, that just came to me. I hadn't thought of that.
I'm annoyed because I just wrote that down and I wanted to say it. So
Go for it.
no, you already said it. That's all. That's all.
Okay. So Elend's flying through the air alone, wearing dark clothing and a mist cloak. He's going to get more Koloss to threaten Yeoman with. He lands in a village that is being attacked by an army of 30,000 Koloss. And then Elend begins slaughtering the Koloss. As he fights, Elend thinks about how he is so much more powerful as a Mistborn, but he does not have the strength to protect the people. He has tried so hard to protect everyone, but no matter what he did, it didn't help with all the death, chaos, and pain in the Empire. Elend never lusted for power, but as he killed the Koloss, he can feel like he could take so much more power if it was to protect.
See, that's the kind of thinking that leads you down that road, which is very fun to see. Because now I wonder if something will come across and offer him that power at some point. Because just before he was thinking, no, I wouldn't, I'd sacrifice Vin. That's the right thing to do, you know. And now he's starting to think, yes, the right thing to do, save everybody, which is the best way to corrupt somebody.
Whenever Elend tries to take control of the Koloss during the battle, he cannot, so he figures there must be an Inquisitor nearby controlling them. Elend begins to not care about the right or wrong of killing the Koloss, and the desire for battle burns within him. He hadn't understood how Vin could have done her attack on set a year ago until now. Elend tries to take the Koloss again with Duralum, and this time it works, even though no Inquisitor had shown up.
You know why?
Because they're not controlled.
No, because he just gave it to him.
So you don't believe that Ruin wants them to leave? Like it was saying in an earlier chapter?
I think it has a plan with Elend, with the people, you know. I think they're being pushed in another way. Like now he's like, yeah, Elend is changing inside, and I think that I think that Ruin has changed his target to Elend from Vin.
Target for what?
Or something.
Something you're being coy about, or just you don't know yet?
I have a couple of theories about why he would want to do that.
But I don't know if I believe that. I'm frustrated that Elend is so trusting that he even has these Kolos. Like, what if there's some weird plan where they're trying to fake him into thinking he has them with some complex way, and he's just going to bring them back and they're just going to attack his soldiers, you know? Also, if
Yeah.
there's no Inquisitor here, if there just isn't one, these could be ones that maybe even Ruin wields, and maybe the rules of that are different, you know? I just think that trusting in the Kolis is a bad idea because they're everything we know about them is an assumption. Like every single thing. We don't know anything about them for sure, you know? So I feel
Yep.
like they're gonna bite our heroes in the ass really hard because they're just too useful, you know? Or this is just gonna be about Elend falling to, you know, what he believes is the necessity, and it's gonna be about them just slaughtering the city horribly.
Yeah. I can't believe he went after them without Vin too. Like they had gone after them together before. But this one of the themes in the book has been, recklessly taking things into your own hands and doing a big move. So I guess this is Ellen's big move, and we'll see how that goes.
Mm-hmm. I can never tell what's supposed to be badass and what's supposed to be a cautionary
Yeah.
tale in this book because anything I took for granted in the last couple books turned out to just be totally untrue. So
It's like, oh, that was not cool. That was reckless. Like, I wonder how many times or how many things like are going to end up being that way.
mm-hmm.
So Ellen knows that he should feel, triumphant, but his victory just feels spoiled since no Inquisitor had shown up. And he looks at the village, and there are very few buildings left. He did not actually wind up saving the village. And a villager asks if he is the Lord Ruler. Ellen looks down his blood-soaked dark clothing and mist cloak, and he says, "Close enough," and leaves. The time for killing has ended. The time for killing hasn't ended. It has just begun.
Yeah, the exact opposite of what he thought there. See, lines like that Lord Ruler one are why I'm not really worried about him being corrupted or falling to evil because he's too aware of that. Like, I think that if he was being manipulated and he was falling for it, he would be thinking, I'm nothing like the Lord Ruler, you know, I'm going to wield this stuff for good. So to me, that's why I just don't believe he's,
Really?
yeah.
What about that thing where
Because
you're like, oh, you like something ironically, and then you'll actually end up liking it for real?
I think that if something was speaking to him in the back of his mind, it would be saying, you're nothing like the Lord Ruler, you know? Just it would be repeating that all the time. And he'd be like, that's true. I'm not. I did it for this, this, and this. But mostly when we see in his head, it seems to be his own thoughts. I can't really think of, because I was watching in this chapter for if something speaks to him. I didn't really notice anything like that unless I've missed something that you've seen.
Well, I have had a weird question, and it's that what does it mean when the characters love the mist, like they feel very comfortable in it? And what does it mean when they distrust and hate the mist? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because now Ellen is beginning to feel pretty comfortable in the mist. He likes it. He feels like it's his friend. And like, what happened when Vin was feeling that way too? And what changed when she suddenly like started to hate and think the mist was her enemy? You know?
Well, she started to hear Reen's voice a lot more often, I feel. If
Okay.
we believe that that's ruin that's in her, that's speaking to her as it's saying it is, you know, and it's
Mhm.
that simple, then I mean, that would imply that the mists don't actually like ruin if they're specifically staying away from her, you know.
Yeah. This
But
book
we don't know the
is
rules, you know. Again, like I said, I haven't heard a voice that's speaking to Ellen like it was to Vin and how'd I forget his name? Zane, you know. But I don't think Zane had the same mist problem. But that seems to be something that's different now that Ruin's been freed too. The mists seem to react a lot differently now.
Mhm. I wonder if we're gonna get another flipperoo with who's going to be good and bad at the end, like with Rashik and
Like I said, I don't think
um
Ruin is evil. You know, I think it does its nature. I believe it when it said that. You know, that it just wants to destroy everything because that's what you do, as a thing of ruin. But obviously,
Well,
from a human perspective, that's evil.
depends on what ruin is for me. Is it like nature or is it just some asshole? That's what I think.
Yeah, that'd be the question. I think it's somewhere in between, I don't think it's a guy who got super powerful over time. I think it is like a force, personally. But I think it's an embodiment, like it has a personality. And I mean, we know it has
Then
a body.
it's some asshole, Justin. Like, that's what I think. Because
Well,
he
gods
has
would be on a level beyond what we define as asshole. From a human perspective, yes. But
oh
if
yeah,
it's a
I'm saying it like
primal
that.
entity, yeah. An asshole has a choice in what they're doing. That's what I'm trying to say. A force does not, even if it has a personality. Does that make sense?
I could see that being a line that you
Like
draw.
think about death in Sandman, right? I mean, it kills everybody. She does, but she doesn't have a choice. She is what she is. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I would imagine the concept of ruin, it taking pleasure in death and destruction, could make sense and not just be like a psychopath, But I don't know. I'm
Mhm.
very curious to find out because we haven't seen anything like that so far, like actual tangible gods and entities and stuff. Again, if it's not just some guy who got a lot of power a long time ago and just loves killing things.
Mhm.
Anything else from this Elend chapter you want to go over?
It didn't scare me. I don't like that.
I
He's
gotta be
usually
honest.
so nice.
Yeah. Is he? He just had a guy executed.
He scared me a lot. He scared me when he cut off Jasty's head too. So I
Justice
guess.
deserved it.
Well, I thought he
I
was
really think
nice.
Justice deserved it. Justice
He's
is
an
not. Oh, Ellen?
Elend is, yeah. I didn't know he had it in
I
him.
Again, I'm curious. I'm curious because you could say it's nice to do what's needed to be done for the greater good, and you could say it's nice to stick by your morals no matter the situation you're in.
Okay, Grindelwald.
I don't think that that's the same thing.
For the greater
I
good.
think you could use the example of Gandalf, not Gandalf. Um, come on, Sheta, what's the name?
I don't know what you're trying to
Who?
say.
The main wizard, not Grindelwald. The one whose name is so absurd to forget. It's so well
Dumbledore?
known. Dumbledore,
Voldemort?
thank you. No,
Oh
we don't say
my.
that
Oh,
name. Dumbledore, feeling guilty
What?
over like manipulating Harry's life and putting him in a position where he had no choice to do stuff, that's for the greater good, even though he feels bad and guilty for it. And Dumbledore seems like a nice guy, but he has a darkness in him too.
yeah, but then he yells at Harry for putting his name in the Goblet of Fire.
Yeah, he
Exactly
Never
what he
screams at
said
happened.
in
him
the book.
at the top of his lungs. He screams just like
Well,
he called for silence in the Great Hall.
why is that the biggest thing about Dumbledore that people know? That is not even true. That makes me
Well,
so sad. And
people
That's not
know
the
it.
biggest
stop.
thing people know. They know it because people always make fun of it.
They
There's a
know it
lot of
because
Not
videos. Yeah.
it's the exact opposite of how it's written.
they know. The freaking trolls. They know that hurts me the most.
Mhm.
Just like stop. Not like that in the books. And they're like, haha, you're sad.
All right. Well, then we'll move over to the predictions and theories segment of this. So I just pretty much have three basic questions. First will be, what's going to happen with Spook and the gang holding on to Beldre?
I think that if Beldre really was against it, she would have been more horrified by what was happening. I think a part of her wants her brother to live because it's her brother, but does feel so sickened by what he's done that a part of her wants them to stop him, because she probably knew him before and knew that he was not an insane, like crazed communist leader guy, and is probably confused by why he's gone so dark, and thinks a part of her probably thinks it would be a mercy to put him out of his misery, even though obviously she doesn't want him to die.
I think Bildre is so funny for that. Now,
Hmm.
don't come at me, but I feel like she's like the type of a girl from old timey films who'd be like, "Now I don't like you. I'm just coming over here to your house to tell you what's what and stuff." And I'm just like, "Why are you coming over to my house right now? Like,
Yeah, I don't think
are
she
you
knows
sure
why
you
she's doing what she's doing,
are you
right?
sure it's not because you want to join us and you like agree with us?" Like, she's like, it's just really funny. Acting like she doesn't like Spook, acting like she like doesn't agree with them and stuff. So I hope that what will happen is he starts to like them and becomes their ally and friend for real. And marry Spook. The end.
All right. And then the next question is what's going to happen with Vin being brought up unconscious to go see Yeoman? How's that
Ooh.
going to go?
He has to either have a thing he wants to tell her, or he thinks he can hold her for ransom in some way. Oh no,
Well,
it's got to be
Vin.
something with how weird and his powers he has, right? Something we don't know about, right? Where
Oh
he's
my
being
gosh.
influenced.
Is he gonna try to heme allergy her? Like take her powers?
It would be kind of
That would,
fun if she woke up on a table, but she
yeah.
woke up earlier than she was supposed to.
Yeah.
That could be really interesting.
It's like, yes, dear Vin. Man, this scene is just like the scene in The Witcher, which is very interesting. If you've read those books, I'm winking at you.
Otherwise, I don't know what he could want from her, but I think it's got to be something with, something we don't know about him yet based on what was implied with Elend facing against him.
Yeah, he's weird. He has a big secret, I feel like. So
Mhm.
I hope it gets revealed in these next chapters. What are his motives and goals, and like what side is he on and stuff,
All right. And then the third question I'll ask is what's going to happen with Elend and the path he's taking?
I have to
Uh,
say, I freaking love whenever a character who's pretty nice just decides it's time to start killing. So I'm sad to say, even at his own detriment, I just want to see him just slaughtering lots of people and going pretty evil.
just go Anakin.
Well, not to that level, not actually evil, but
Okay.
doing
Um,
what he thinks there's killing that needs to be done, and just forcing his way into the town, killing lots of people. Maybe by the time he gets there, Vin doesn't even recognize him anymore.
I was gonna say this is the first time they've kind of been like separated. I wonder if someone's jumping at the opportunity to like corrupt them in either direction, Because yeah, they're gonna be pretty. They had went through a lot while during this separation, so I wonder if they kind of kept each other balanced and sane, and now they're just gonna they're vulnerable. So
And I can't help but thinking that these Kolas he has control of, he doesn't have control of in the way he thinks he does. I think he's being tricked, you know, and I think it's going to be real bad for everyone in the city and his entire army. I think there's going to be a lot of death on every side.
yeah, that's a
Either
classic move, you know.
Mhm.
Or Order
Just
six
because
six.
the more he thinks that, like, I need to do this, I need to do this. I don't think he's being manipulated from the inside. I think he may be being manipulated from the outside, just like how when they were trying to get him to give up as many soldiers, like just to go back to Luthadel, they didn't want him here. I feel like they'll unlock the coal or unload the Kolos in the city, and then the Kolos will start trying to destroy whatever it is they don't want them to have in there.
Mm,
No evidence just for it, just what I would be afraid of. I don't trust the Kolos. That's all I'm saying.
yeah. I don't think Ellen's path is a path of righteousness.
Well, I actually support him taking the city. At this point, I almost feel like Yeoman's responsible for the deaths that are going to happen. The world is ending. You can't just pretend it's not. And to not work with Elend just because he's still so fanatical for the Lord Ruler,
Again,
who
we don't know what his plans are. He might be a loyalist to the Lord Ruler and the Lord Ruler's plans to keep Ruin at bay.
could be.
Yeah. I mean, his plan to kill half the Kolas was like really brilliant. He tricked Vin and Ellen and like hurt them bad, and caught Vin. Like these are too good of plans for one seemingly rando. Like I feel
Oh,
like
I don't think so. I think any military strategist would come up with a plan like that. You don't think so?
no, I don't think so.
To do a false attack to attack the bigger threat over there while everyone's distracted?
I'm just saying we don't know what his entire deal is yet. That's all. So I'm
Well, of
not
course not.
putting it out of the question.
The idea of Yeoman knowing the Lord Ruler stuff is interesting. I don't believe it, but it'd be pretty funny if the steel slab down there, Lord Ruler's like, if you ever get control of this city and I'm dead, make sure to go replace the real steel slab that has all the good information There's one that makes me sound all hopeless and stupid to make them lose hope. I think that'd be hilarious. Which could be because he said the Inquisitors knew about it, right? So they could have manipulated it even.
All right.
Hmm.
Any other theories or predictions you two want to throw out there?
Yeah, I think that the body is not a physical body. I really think it's being created in either Elend or Spook. Like either the body is the bead, which I don't believe the one Elend had, because that when the Lord Ruler says I hid it well, that would be a pretty stupid place to hide it.
I hid it in
You
my
know?
favorite pot.
Yeah, but I don't know. It could be, and it's just the power, which again I don't believe, but that'd be funny. Or it's something more vague, like I hid the information well, and it's Ruin needs somebody of a certain level of like, elementic power or something, and Spook's been burning that stuff like crazy.
Could be. Did I already say that I thought that bead fell out of the Lord Ruler when he died?
What bead?
The bead that Ellen ate to get his power. I had a note that said that it fell out of the Lord Ruler when he died, and then Finn picked it up and gave it to Ellen.
No. It was when they went down to the well, there was a bunch of like broken like clay pottery things, and there was one small disc of pottery, and in the middle of that disc was the bead.
Oh, that's
And
just
then
like the disc that Finn saw in this cave. There was a circle. Thanks, Joe, for giving it away.
weren't all the slabs like that?
Yeah, I think so. It kind of, I think it hinted that there were more than one of them. It seemed like it, but now they seem to be spread out.
By what it sounded like to me, the thing Elend had was just what was left over from like 1,000 years ago when the
Yeah,
original nobles got stuff.
that sounds right.
I mean, that's what I think it's implying. We can't know the details, of course.
No, well, I think the body is an actual body, and I was like, is it in a Khandra? Is it in Tensoon, maybe? Like the bones, like literal bones? Since having bones in you is a thing, I wonder.
I don't think in Tensoon, but in the first or the second, maybe they know something about that.
So that
But then,
douchey guy, right?
I'm gonna just going back to that bead thing you were talking about. The epigraph for chapter 22 did explain that the beads that they found were what made men into Mistborn, and yeah, and it's like, ugh,
yeah, that was my memory.
something that
Okay.
his power was something that every one of the original 9 Allomancers possessed.
Man, it's kind of a shame that the Lord Ruler like just died when all his powers just went to nothing.
Yeah,
When
such a shame.
well, because it seems like all these powers are always being like reused and recycled and stuff, and I just wonder if it could have been used.
Well, couldn't it? Couldn't they have basically absorbed it from the well, gotten the same powers? Oh no, because he has the I forget. He had
Yeah.
the other thing too. I forget the name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his Ferochemy and his
That
Allomantic
was it.
powers could not be used by anybody else.
Okay. All right. The other thing that we were talking about was unstable people are easily manipulated, and how Vin's mom was unstable, or always was kind of unstable.
She said
So
some crazy things, right?
yeah, so I wondered that, and then I was like, what if she like hemalurgied Vin with her baby sister?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That messed
that's what
up.
I was thinking too.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, some kind of messed up memory Vin doesn't have.
hmm I always think she was seeing the future or something like that, because she called it that Vin was going to be a queen someday.
Yeah, yeah, I should go back and reread that section, remind myself.
Mhm.
Because from the first time she said it, it felt like there was something going on there. It was too damn specific. And now that we know that it was manipulating things probably from that far back, now I wonder if there even was a ring.
That's creepy. Yes,
I
and
don't
then
think
one day she
so,
just
but
wakes up
who
and Reen
fucking
is
knows?
gone.
hmm
I'm
At
gonna go
this
back and
point,
be
who
like,
knows? But no,
did
I
anyone
believe
reference her
that,
brother?
yeah, I believe that somebody told her that he was tortured to death.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah,
an
that's true.
inquisitor, not it. an inquisitor or something to give up her whereabouts.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go out and tell you that Vereen was real.
Hey, don't tell us that, man. Then we
Because
won't
you
get weird on the conspiracies. No, the guy telling her is why I don't believe that would be
yeah,
true.
that plus you had like the first leader came in. He's just like, "Yep, Vin, you have to work for me because your brother still owes me money, and you're having to pay off the debt." And
Unless at
yeah,
this point that was Ruin talking through him, we can't trust anything. How do we even know? We're going to get to the point of the maybe none of this is even happening kind of bullshit theories that people do. Maybe Vin is just dreaming this whole book. I'll
no,
say
the
if
guy.
that's the ending, Joe, I will not read another one.
If that was the ending, I would
But
not read
don't
it. That is
confirm
like
or deny. I don't know
that
if
is
it was really well written, maybe.
I don't know, like like those sort of. It was all a dream. Like I liked it on Occurrence on Owl Creek Bridge, I think is what it was called. After that, it's just like, all right, I'm sick of these. I'm just no. It was all a dream, or it's all just a vision they had as they died. I just get so sick of those endings.
There's one movie I like that in, but I'm not going to say it to not spoil the end of the movie.
Let's consider it.
But you would know it if you've seen the movie.
Well, I know a movie that kind of hints at that, but I bet people have not seen this movie because it's a very low budget one with some big name actors in it, and it's not very
Ooh.
good movie.
Text it to me later.
It's not a good movie.
I want to know what big name actors are in there.
Fans of bad movies, put down your headphones now so Joe can say the movie name.
Well, the movie was called, was it Passion Play, and it had Mickey Rourke, Megan Fox, and Bill Murray,
What the
Oh,
fuck?
that's a
and
random ass
Megan
cast.
and Megan Fox has angel wings.
I've never heard of that.
Ooh,
That sounds
pretty.
awesome.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. Then you watch the movie and realize this is a really, really bad movie. I don't know. I'm saying that somebody else, they could just be getting really pissed off at me right now, being saying that they love it.
It's my favorite movie.
So I'm sorry if you feel that way.
You have bad taste.
All right. Any other crazy theories you two want to throw out there?
Let's see. Spook is the body. Vin's mom did hemalurgy with her sister under her. Are we missing any other crazy ones? Oh, I think that Sazed, he puts on the metal things. I think that not having those on is part of what's making him so depressed because, like, he's lived
Yes.
his whole life with those on, and he's gotten used to living that way. When he took them off, it's kind of like, not like a drug or something, but like anything you cut out of your life that is a part of your identity so much. I don't think he's as depressed as he thinks he is. I think he's more like doesn't know how to just be a regular person and deal with regular person feelings, especially when it's at this level where he does feel so sad and hopeless at the same time, where other characters like Breeze and stuff, they've gotten well used to how to deal with feeling so hopeless. So I just think that's what it is. I wonder if that's purposeful or if that's just something I'm reading into it.
Yeah.
Because he
I
did come
always thought.
alive as soon as he put those on. What's that?
Yeah. I always thought that certain powers belong to preservation or ruin and stuff. And I think the Metal Mind's powers are of preservation, and that helps him, you know, preserve and be happier and survive and stuff and fight ruin. I think ruin is out. He is just free to ravage anybody who doesn't have that kind of power, that fire burning in them.
Do you think that ruin is responsible for every negative feeling people have? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, that's a bigger concept than I attribute to it. I think it's more literal, but it could be the
Mhm.
voice in the back of everyone's head telling them to
That
give up
is,
and be
yeah.
unhappy. I don't
Mhm.
know that I believe that. I was just talking about from like a non-magical standpoint for Sazed,
Yeah. I hear that. That's good too.
but that's some scary stuff there. But if you get to that point, then Ruin isn't evil. He is the concept of all negativity and bad like stuff, which we can't exist without.
Yeah.
I wonder if this book is that high concept.
All right. So I guess now we'll move on to the characters of the week.
My character this week is Breeze, just because he's been working on Sazed for so long to manipulate him into being happier. And we're seeing him kind of start to pull some of the triggers on some of the things he's probably been wanting to say to try to push Sazed in a more healthy and positive direction.
I just think it's super annoying to have Breeze do that. It's like, okay, you with your child bride, don't come at me when my girlfriend's dead. Like, I'm always really mad. Like, don't tell me to be happy right now. Like,
Well, he's not telling him to be happy. No.
I just would be
Just-
really. It says one line about that, and he in his heart he has one thought like that. Your girlfriend's alive, like mine's not. So he's all sad. But I just think it's funny, and I would have trouble listening to Breeze. Yeah, no, that's a good choice. I like Breeze too. I'm going to pick though for my favorite, probably Sazed for being happy with his hobbies. Because I feel like that's all we strive to do in life is just find a happy little hobby. Like what is it like moving water reservoirs and stuff like that through the city, and he's kind of geeking out. It was really cute to see him get all excited because I'm like, yeah, that's what I go to when I feel depressed. I'd like a little hobby like that to get obsessed with. Well, I'm glad. I'm happy for him.
And for my character, I'm going to go with Elend. I really like the storyline of him struggling within himself about what to do. Like, he like when he's fighting all the Koloffs and stuff, he's going through thinking like he wants to do right, he wants to do all the right stuff, but it doesn't seem to be working out. And when the people are asking him afterwards, like, "Are you the Lord Ruler?" and he's just looking at himself, like, "Yeah, might as well be." Just his internal struggles through this book, I have found very interesting, and
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, the first two books, I thought Elend was all right, but he was never like one of my favorite characters. The way his storyline is in this one so far, I've been a lot more interested in him and his whole dichotomy about what he should do and what he shouldn't do, and if it's good or wrong.
Mhm. Yeah, I found that very interesting as well. He also reminded me of that whole part when he's using it as the metaphor for everything he's doing about like, you kill one thing at a time, it doesn't fucking matter because all the other things are happening. So him trying to think bigger picture than he has in the past, I think is interesting.
All right, and now we'll go to quotes.
Well, mine will be with Vin talking with Ruin in the caves. Ah, Vin, Ruin said, its voice almost fatherly in tone. You act as if I were your enemy. You are my enemy. You seek to end the things I love. And isn't ending always bad? It asked. Must not all things, even worlds, someday end? There's no need to hasten that end, said Vin. No reason to force it. All things are subject to their own nature, Vin, Ruin said, seeming to flow around her. She could feel its touch upon her, wet and delicate like mist. You cannot blame me for being what I am. Without me, nothing would end. Nothing could end, and therefore nothing could grow. I am life. Why would you fight life itself? Vin fell silent. Do not mourn because the time of this world's end has arrived, Ruin said. That end was ordained from the very moment of the world's conception. There is a beauty in death, the beauty of finality, the beauty of completion. For nothing is truly complete until the day it is at last destroyed. Enough, Vin snapped. Okay, that's the answer. It's just his argument for his being and his purpose. Kind of what
Yeah, I
just
got it.
Justin was saying. But
What was I saying?
about how is it just a force of nature? Is it just how ruin is and he can't fight it? And these are the kind of thoughts that a force like that would have and would believe and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a response to that. Go fuck yourself is always what I think for that kind of talk.
That's the superhero logic. Like, yeah,
Hmm.
whatever. This is all I am. This is my life and my people, and I don't care what your goals are. Like,
It always makes me think of that do not go gently into that good night poem, the one.
yeah. Well, I'm gonna be kicking and screaming the whole time.
Yeah, the
Like,
rage against the dying of the light. That was that one, which they used a lot in Interstellar, I believe, if I remember.
yeah, that's
Because you're
only
just like,
human. Like,
hmm it's the most human thing of all to not just roll over and die, to
yeah, and I
fight
think
against
that's
it.
why. That's why the survivors is such a symbol
That's
to
a good
people, the
point. I
people,
hadn't thought of that. I hadn't
Yeah.
thought of that yet. But yeah, that's definitely a big theme there. The idea of
Mhm.
surviving, because even if it's a natural force, even if it's necessary, it's the complete antithesis of everything humans believe in and want, which is just to
Mhm.
live, you know. So it's a fascinating villain because of that. It really reminds me of, oh, you probably don't remember, but a part I wrote in in Kokotayaku when somebody's saying the same thing or an entity is, and then the main character just swears at him like I did a bit ago. Because
Yeah.
it's just such a horrifying, you can't argue with it except in the stupidest way ever. That's what I'm trying to say,
Yeah. Just a defiant
Yeah,
will to
defiance,
live.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's no argument except pure human defiance. Yes, correct.
Yep.
No, I got a quote. Oh no, I don't have that epic quote, Sheta.
Oh.
It's Breeze talking to Sazed when Sazed's saying, basically, he's doing what he likes instead of what he feels he needs to do. And Breeze argues, a man is what he has passion about, Breeze said. I've found that if you give up what you want most for what you think you should want more, you'll just end up miserable. And what if what I want isn't what society needs, Sazed said. Sometimes we are required to do what we don't enjoy. That is a simple fact of life, I think. Breeze shrugged. I don't worry about that. I only do what I'm good at. In my case, that's making other people do things I don't want to. It all fits together in the end. Then Sazed shakes his head that it's not that simple. I really like seeing Breeze's thoughts on that. And I've always believed, that everyone kind of has a place if they just do what they are kind of supposed to do, what they naturally feel, that humans kind of fit together like that. So I really enjoy seeing that because Breeze literally doesn't usually do things that he doesn't want to do. And even things he claims he doesn't want to do, like not want like on a whim. I mean, like deep wants, even things he claims he doesn't want to do, he actually does want to do. I think he's got something figured out that a lot of people do not.
Mm. That's a very good Justin quote.
All right, and then mine comes from the Elend stuff I said earlier that I liked. He fought on, and as he did, the prevalence of death around him seemed a metaphor for all he had done over the last 3 years. He should have been able to protect the people. He tried so hard to protect the people. He'd stopped armies, overthrown tyrants, reworked laws, and scavenged supplies. Yet all this was a tiny drop of salvation in a vast ocean of death, chaos, and pain. He couldn't save the Empire by protecting a corner of it, same way he couldn't save this village by killing a small fraction of the Koloss. What good was killing another monster if it was only replaced by 2 more? What good was food to feed his people if the ash smothered everything anyway? What good was he, an emperor who couldn't defend the people of a single village? Elend had never lusted for power. He'd been a theorist and a scholar. Ruling an empire had mostly been an academic exercise for him. Yet as he fought on that dark night in the burning mists and falling ash, he began to understand. As people died around him, despite his most frenzied efforts, he could see what would drive people for more and more power. Power to protect. At that moment, he would have accepted the powers of godhood if it would mean having the strength to save the people around him.
No.
As I said, just going over everything he's been doing over the past, book and a half, trying to help the people, trying to do the right stuff, and it with the fact now that they're fighting a god, it's just not enough to do what needs to be done to save people. And he, even as the most powerful Mistborn, he's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hurting him. One other thing I didn't bring up with my character for Elend that I should have is how when he's going to this Koloss attack, he's not wearing the white suit he normally wears. Instead, this time he's wearing dark clothing. He's wearing the mist cloak, which he hasn't worn all book. So just him putting away the light for the darkness.
Mm. I wonder if the Lord Ruler had any of these thoughts.
I don't know. I just don't think that the path Elend's going down, that the moral's going to be like that, because it says in there specifically, like he'd been doing it as a, intellectual, philosophical exercise. That's quite a selfish thing to do, actually, So I don't know. I really can't say what the moral's going to be. And I'm like, actually, as eager as you are, Sheta, to find like the answer to these things, to me, it's to get what the author's saying the moral is of Elend's journey, because I could see it going both ways. And I think it'd be super interesting if it's you don't become the Lord Ruler, obviously. You don't do evil, but there is a certain level of darkness you need to accept and follow in order to do what's best for most people, because you almost
Yeah.
never see that moral in things, which is an easy moral for a lot of like intellectual writers to write because they don't have to do anything. So that'd be really, really fascinating. Both versions would be, but that one would be very unique.
I'm curious for the morals to be stated and confirmed too,
Or
because
at
there's a
least,
lot of things. Yeah,
yeah,
just with the outcome of where the characters end up being. Like yeah, I don't think you're
because
gonna say,
weirdly,
and that's what we've learned today. Like
yeah, fascinatingly, this book has not been anti-killing, because we kill Straff and everyone's happy for it. We threaten to kill Set and the other
yay.
guy, and it's all good. These are good things. So that's interesting. I'm reading too much superhero stuff where killing's just the worst thing ever. So in a medieval kind of setting, it's kind of like you got to kill people sometimes.
I'll say the Set one was not good. That one was portrayed as very bad.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not talking about when. I'm not talking about when Vin was killing all Set's men. That's not what I mean. I
Okay.
mean when. No, not that. That
You
was
mean
just murder.
Straff? Okay.
No. I already said Straff. I mean when they were like, bow down or we'll kill you. That's what I meant.
Okay,
Oh,
okay. That
okay.
that makes more sense.
I'm glad you said that. I don't want people thinking I'm like, man, it was so morally good when Vin killed all those poor soldiers and then left Set there alive at
And
at Zane's insane request to let go and just start murdering everybody.
yeah, that was
Maybe
sad.
I'm getting
Beating up.
infected by the Lord Ruler over here if I'm
Yeah.
thinking that. Jeez. Or by Ruin.
Where is Set's son? I was wondering.
I think
He
he's
was
in
barely a
the
character last time.
yeah. He's been mentioned. He's in the camp with Set.
Oh, okay.
Like he's been mentioned like here or there, but he's not important.
I thought he would be a bigger character in this book.
I thought he just existed to make it more sad about killing Set,
Yeah, when he was getting
because he
beat
had a
up in front of his son, like that was so
yeah,
sad.
that pretty much that's what I thought he existed for.
It's like, don't kill him. Like, oh, that's very
Plus,
sad.
plus it was adding the mystery for Vin trying to figure out who was the Mistborn. Was it Set or his son?
I see. It's
And it
weird that
turned out to be neither.
yeah. Yeah, so weird to think that that is Alrian's brother and dad. They don't ever hang out now.
All right. So move over. We have a couple comments that we got from last week's episode.
Oh no. Okay,
There
let's
was
hear it.
so there was one comment that was on Spotify for last week's episode by Nin Bannon. I'm going to save that one until we finish the book, though.
Okay.
All right. And then we have two other ones that were on YouTube.
That means we said something pretty damn good or pretty goddamn wrong last time, Sheta.
Oh yeah. I mean, we were kind of throwing him out there last episode, so.
Or it was just
We're
a
like,
comment that was talking about the end of the book.
Nope, it's one
nope,
of those two.
Joe. They were complimenting how smart we were and how close,
Or
how we
critiquing
predicted
how
everything.
incredibly off we were. One of the two.
So, first the comments will be from Adelg8. Two things. Well, three. Number one, I'm Alex. It made my day hearing you guys read my comment.
Yay!
Number two, I can't understand why anyone would want Justin out of here. He has such a smooth voice to my ears, like one of those radio speakers.
Wow. All right. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I've always thought I sounded horribly twerpy, so I'm glad to
I
hear
hate Justin's voice. Just kidding.
it.
Well, hopefully you still like his voice with the
Oh
technical
yeah, I've ruined
problems.
it. I've ruined it. You're hearing,
I know.
but
Next
I really
episode, it
sound
sounds
like
like,
this.
oh my gosh.
I've been putting
Don't.
on airs this whole time, guys. This is how I sound.
And
I
number
asked
three,
you not to do that.
number three, my favorite part on these chapters was the interactions between Elend and Yeoman. I hope they become frenemies.
100% agree. I love that part so much.
Yeah, yeah. Ellen kind of misses that. Like
Mhm.
that's what he grew up with, like with his buddies, just talking about stuff like that.
Without the
That's like one of his,
consequences of nations on his shoulders, too.
yeah, just for
Just
fun,
for the fun of philosophizing and debating.
And the next comment will be from Reader Warrior.
Mhm.
All right, starts off Pincushion Penrod.
How? Too soon.
Yeah.
I'm still mourning my beloved Penrod. I loved him in the second book.
Oh, sad.
A
Can you
contest.
undo? Oh wait, you can't undo that. He'd die, right?
No, I don't.
What?
Sad.
Well, yeah, they said if you took the shard out, it would
I
kill him,
said,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So he's just done. He's done. He's worse than dead.
A contest of champions sounds like fun. Justin might be onto something. Don't trust anything that hasn't been proven. There's always another secret.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Mm,
I am so fucking paranoid this book. Jesus.
yeah.
I
Elend and Yeoman are like Cosmere fans arguing between Mistborn and Stormlight. I love how Sheta basically says she thinks Yeoman is Venom after all that earlier.
Did I? Or with him
I'm
with
trying
his.
to remember what part. It's probably you were talking about Yeoman being taken over or not being controlled or
Yeah, that Ruin is
something.
talking through him,
Yeah.
using him. Yeah.
we are yeoman.
Yes. I just want to know Yeoman's deal very much.
Oh, me too.
After all this time, waiting for Sheta's reaction to Reen's return, and she's given up on it? Come on.
Oh no!
Yeah, Sheta, you were the one who made me even think that
I
was a
know.
possibility.
It's what it is though. It's that they gave us Kelsier, and that made me just lose hope. I'm like,
You
don't
just
do
don't
that to
trust.
me. Don't do that to me. Like, I wanted Kelsier to be alive for so long, and then yeah, but I just could not trust that that would be Reem because I would be too happy if it was him, and then I would
That's
just
why.
die when in like a couple pages it revealed that it is not him. Like, yeah, I would have just. I can't love again, okay?
What are you gonna do when Zane comes back next chapter, Sheta?
Oh my god, don't even say that. I've been wanting Zane to come back too, but I haven't been saying it.
Zane is not coming back.
I was like, someone could have taken his bones, like my Condra thing that I wanted to happen.
But
Then
then it
that's
wouldn't
not
be
Zane.
Zane.
Yeah, but it'll kind of be like him.
No, it wouldn't be anything like him.
That's okay. He would have been Ellen's darker brother, and that would have been good enough.
And if Reen and Kelsier are the same, then how is Vin seeing him?
Well, I
Same way
think
Spook
that,
saw him, right?
huh?
Same way Spook saw Kelsier as like Shadow, right? That's what I would assume.
Yeah, I think that this power, I think he is spread out throughout the land. I don't think there's only one. I think that the mist spirit can just go through the mist and be wherever. I don't think it literally has to travel anywhere. Like,
Uh-huh.
I think it just appears. And we learned that it's writing in Vin's head.
If that thing's telling the truth, like I said, Sheta. For all we know, there is no ruin, and this is all bullshit. Everyone's just insane.
You really are paranoid.
I am. I've never ever been this paranoid while reading or watching something before. Ever.
Yeah, I thought I was
And I
paranoid
get,
when there was a extra Condra, or when there
yeah,
was
yeah.
a spy. I mean, like.
I get overly worried when characters have plans that they think is just going to work out, But this is on a whole other level because, like, every little thing that happens, I'm like, is this the thing? Have you fucked everybody? Is it over? Did you listen to the wrong thing?
Yeah.
That fucking, just that thing about things being written down, not being able to trust, even the fucking epigraphs and what's in the book being different. I think I may be broken. I may never be recovered.
The spikes you
Uh-oh.
guys keep calling spikes were sword tips.
Sword
both
tip?
Zane and Spook.
Ah, so just a little shard of metal.
Oh yeah,
Not
for
actual.
Spook. Yeah, we talked
Yeah.
about that. I didn't know Zane's was. I didn't remember that, but that makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
I thought he had a spike too.
Yeah, I thought a spike would be a bit ridiculous, but it seemed more like something. We didn't know much about this back then, so but that's good to know.
Is Zane's spike flat on his front and then out his back, or the other
Yeah,
way?
it was like sticking out the back, and that's why he never wore a mist cloak because it rubbed awkwardly there.
So, was it a very long spike? Was he like a shark?
No, he was not like a shark.
Okay. I'm just glad because then you could hug Zane and not feel the spike.
Oh my god, no. What?
All right. We'll just go on. The next line. I'm literally just here to hear the insane theories.
Well, I
And
hope we gave you a couple this time. We got pretty
yeah.
weird with some of these.
Every clue they give us, like, we just go wild because it just
Or what we
reveals
think
so
is a
much more.
clue, but isn't anything at all.
Oh, I know. I'm like, that's it, and I was like, no, that
Mhm.
was nothing. Man, and also, I've never read a book like this before, so all the things, the mysteries, and the slowly revealing like bits of information, and reading at this pace is driving me nuts as well. So,
Man, just wait until you get to the other books we have that are like twice the length.
we might have to up the number of episodes or chapters we read, Joe.
No, that's my response.
Yes, but I can't wait that long. I don't
To
want
be
it.
Sheta, I'll let you know. Compared to other podcasts, we're actually one of the faster ones. We do more chapters than a lot of the other ones do in a week.
Wow. I mean, I could see that a lot of stuff happens in the chapters that it should have more time, but we don't.
Today we're just covering Raythan's wedding chapter, and that's it.
If Vin's earring is a spike, does that mean she's not an actual Mistborn? And Kelsier's scars, as seen by Wallen, came from scraping along the stones in the pits.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, but I thought that a piece might have gotten in his arm.
No, I don't know. I
No,
still don't follow that one,
a
Shada.
piece of isn't ATM metal? Would that count?
Yeah,
Does it
but
have to be?
they were grabbing geodes. It wasn't like just grabbing things of ATM. And don't forget,
Spikes?
hemalurgy, it has to kill somebody and then go into you. So it's not
Oh yeah,
just
but
getting.
that happens all the time down there. I could believe that part,
Yeah.
like just by accident. My thing is, I just don't believe that. I don't believe it can just be any old little shard anywhere. I think it's got to be more specific. That's why I don't believe that one, Shada. But that's really the only reason.
The theories of Ada Nauseam have begun. Ha ha.
Ha 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 ha. Rub it in, why don't you? We don't know what
Yeah,
the fuck we're talking about.
like a who or a what? Yeah, it's funny.
All right.
I'm in the dark.
There are 14 metals. The original 10, aluminum, duralumin, the 11th metal, malatium, and electrum.
So
Oh,
far,
What?
so there's more. What was that? Like, there's
so
more.
far.
Yeah, there are 14 metals.
Okay, not 8, 16.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That's my math that I was trying to do.
Well, you're not allowed to do math anymore, Shita.
I probably shouldn't.
There are 4 blessings, though, not 3.
Really? What's
Yeah,
the fourth
I
one?
thought it said there were 4. Did I say differently last time?
I think Sheeta said 3.
I did 3. Yeah, presence.
I remember
Yeah.
4.
No, there's 4. Yeah, presence, potency, stability, and awareness.
Yeah.
Maybe one of you misspoke at one point.
Probably Justin.
Why? I wasn't talking
I
about that. You
never
were.
misspeak.
All the number stuff was you, Shada.
All right. Hoyd should always be on a list.
Yeah.
Don't forget about Melend either.
I already have, and I don't want to be reminded.
Melend was on Reader Warriors podcast, Cosmic Connections. They kept bringing him up as kind of a joke because he was brought up once in Final Empire during like when Vin's at a ball. The first boy she dances at there is Melend. And they're like, it's just Elend with the letter M in front of it.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
When am I going to get that fucking girl who was selling information in the first book back?
I think she's done, Justin. She's probably dead.
Lady Cliffs.
They made such a fucking deal out of her. I thought for sure she was going to be a character.
Is she Hoyd in disguise?
She's Ruin's body.
No, she's an informant. Hoyd is an informant. That's at least based on something.
All right.
Oh, I have one more theory.
Here, let's finish this comment and then we'll go through
Okay.
it. Let's finish this because there's only all right. Opens mouth to reveal information about the author of the epigraphs. Actually, closes mouth at Justin's limit on those who have read the book.
At my limit?
Where you're like, hey, if anybody has anything that you can add for people who like information about the people who wrote the epigraph. but if you've read the book, you're not allowed to tell us.
Oh, yes, no, you can't. Only people who haven't. That's correct.
Yeah.
I like to imagine the shot composition of Spook staring at Quellion while holding the kid is almost exactly like when Kelsier stared up at Lord Jerkface McRapey from the Final Empire's prologue.
Yes. Lord McRapey. What a bastard.
I spent like an hour trying to find that exact line about Sazed and the spikes, but I thought I imagined it. Thank you to that guy. I was starting to think I imagined it for my fanfics. Haha. And then last one, if I wanted to insult y'all, I'd do it in the first line.
Sounds
Thank
cryptic.
you.
All right, and now, all right, thanks everyone for comments. And now, Sheta, what's this other theory you want to throw out there?
It's not a true theory. It's like a little after credits thing. But there was one part where everyone's waiting in the ministry building. Not Spook, Sazed and breathing Ariane. And then Goradel is leaning against a bookshelf with his usual smile on. And I was like, who else leaned against furniture and was always smiling? Is Goradel Kelsier's, like, is he possessed by Kelsier's spirit, maybe?
Do you have any other evidence for this than that? Because that is quite a stretch, but man, that could be a little detail that I missed completely.
Now he's just
If you've
quietly watching over the team through
Sheta,
Goradel.
if you've got more evidence than that, I would love to hear it, and you could totally convince me of this. But if that's all you got, then I'm afraid I can't follow.
Because I was like, we don't know much about Goradel, but was he always smiling? Like that seemed a really specific detail. Like, yes, Goradel, he's always a smiling guy. Like,
I swear to God, Sheta, if you put it all together based on that little line and you have no other evidence but that, I'm gonna be pissed.
also, I also think, yeah, when he comes in and he tells them, "Oh yes, Lord Spook has arrived," and I thought that Kelsier would think it was a funny joke to call him Lord Spook
Oh
because
my God, Sheta.
he gave Spooky that nickname, and now
You
everyone's
know how
calling
I
him Lord
even
Spook.
remember who Goradel is? Because I've asked so many times who the hell was Goradel. I don't think he's
Exactly.
that big of a character.
Where would the best place to hide Kelsier be? A character you barely remember.
No, that'd be the worst place to hide it.
Oh, why
Because
does he
then he
keep
says,
being brought up?
guys, by the way, I'm Kelsier. And everyone would be like, Goradel, shut the fuck up. I'll prove I'm Kelsier by saying something only he would know. Now, if there's a line where Spook says, Kelsier's been speaking to me, and then the narrator says, Goradel gave Spook a very strange look, then I'll have some
Maybe.
more evidence, Sheta.
Okay.
And he
Okay.
said, and then he says, I didn't say, I mean, what do you mean Kelsier is speaking to you?
That's
Oh,
Well,
all right.
there we go.
All right, let's move on. So next week's chapters, we'll be reading chapters 52 through 58. I'll let everyone know we're getting close to the end of this book. So, for our wrap-up episode, if you have any questions you want to ask us, feel free, leave a comment. The ones I know to find are Spotify or YouTube, or send an email to us with some questions about, the end of this book, about overall Mistborn, or the book we will be reading next will be Warbreaker. So if you have any questions you want to ask us pre-Warbreaker, feel free to send them in.
ooh, exciting. Wait.
I may
Sorry, go ahead.
some of them, if the questions are too spoilery or too leading towards one way or the other, I may choose not to read them. All right, and then we'll just move into plugs.
You can follow me at the artist formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, or DeviantArt. And if you want to read comics about people shouting at entities about resisting death, as we just saw in this book, that would be DeviantArt you would go to find those comics.
You said resisting death. I thought it'd be like telling death where to shove it.
Yeah.
But I'm also on Instagram mostly. I have a DeviantArt as well under the same name. Sheta_love. And then I also have some cosplay and fashion stuff and just daily life stuff on my other Instagram, Mermaid Machete. No underscore. And that's it.
All right. And then for our Cosmere Chronicles stuff, as I said before, leave comments if you want. Leave a review, rate us on your different platforms. If you want to, on Key, a Most Ancient Letter, formerly known as Twitter, or Cosmerecron, CosmereChron. On Blue Sky, Cosmere Chronicles. Or if you want to just straight up email us, cosmerechronicles@gmail.com. So yeah, that's it for this week. As I said, next week, 52 through 58. So everyone, just as usual, go out, have fun. And you know what? Some of you, go out there this next week, go and get married.
Whoa. Yeah, no
Yep.
time like the present.
Yep. Even if you don't have a significant other, quickly go find one and get married.
Yeah, just for fun.
Everyone's doing it.
All right. So yeah, bye everyone.
Adios.
Ta-ta.